A ripping sound echoed through the cosmos as the fabric of reality itself began to tear. A bolt of energy, brighter than a star, cut through the skies of a dying world. The ground shook violently as the atmosphere crackled with tension. In the heart of the destruction, Darkseid's boots crushed the broken earth beneath them. His eyes glowed with the power of the Omega beams, seeking something to conquer. The planet was known as Vaxor, a battlefield for countless warbands, where the forces of the Imperium clashed with the heretical Chaos armies. But even this hellish warzone paled in comparison to the newcomer. Darkseid, ruler of Apokolips, stood amidst the carnage. The grim echoes of war were nothing to him. His will was absolute, and he had come to expand it further. The galaxy would kneel to him. The Imperial Guard, stationed in the region, were the first to react. Their soldiers, hardened by years of endless battle, raised their lasguns and fired. But their attacks were futile. Darkseid raised his hand, and in an instant, a pulse of energy obliterated the advancing platoon. Their screams were silenced in the blink of an eye. The Omega beams followed, incinerating everything in their path. The tide of war had just shifted. As the ground trembled, a massive formation of space marines emerged from a nearby drop pod, their bolters ready to fire. They were the Emperor's chosen, clad in ceramite armor, their faith unwavering. Yet even they hesitated as they saw Darkseid standing before them. His dark, regal presence exuded authority, and his mere existence made their battle-hardened souls tremble. Darkseid didn't care for their titles, their ideologies, or the gods. They would fall, like all others. The leader of the Space Marines, Captain Aurelius, a giant of a man, stepped forward. "I am Aurelius, of the Ultramarines," he called, his voice cutting through the dust. "You will kneel before the Emperor, or you will die." Darkseid's eyes flared, the Omega beams flickering with power. But he didn't move. His will was not one of negotiation. His gaze was already on the greater prize, the manipulation of this broken world. Aurelius was no fool. He understood that brute force alone wouldn't defeat this godlike entity. He raised his hand, signaling his brothers. The battle began with a hail of bolter fire. The Space Marines moved with disciplined precision, their targets precise, yet the blasts simply bounced off Darkseid's dark armor. He stood there, impervious, his power growing with every second. The ground cracked beneath him as his aura intensified. But Darkseid's attention wasn't just on the Space Marines. No, something more intriguing lay on this world, the Chaos Forces. Their taint was pervasive, a breeding ground for madness and decay. Darkseid was drawn to the instability, the madness that emanated from the forces of chaos. In a twisted way, it reminded him of the destruction that he sought to impose on all living things. He longed for control, and chaos was the perfect tool. The Chaos Space Marines, led by the infamous Lord Abaddon, watched as Darkseid moved toward their ranks. They felt the unnatural chill in the air, a reminder of the power they were up against. Abaddon was no stranger to dark gods, but Darkseid was something else. His power was pure, unyielding, and ancient. Darkseid locked eyes with the Chaos Lord, and for a moment, there was a mutual understanding. Only one could reign supreme here. "You think you can conquer this galaxy, god of the outsiders?" Abaddon boomed, drawing his massive sword, the Drachnian. The power within the blade was undeniable, but Darkseid's gaze intensified, and Abaddon could feel his will pushing against his. "I don't conquer," Darkseid said coldly. "I destroy. I am the end, the inevitable. You are nothing more than another obstacle, just like these mortals who fight for meaningless causes." Without warning, Darkseid unleashed his Omega beams. Abaddon barely had time to raise his sword to deflect them, the energy crackling around him. The Chaos Lord staggered back, feeling the power threaten to crush him. His marines charged forward, but their weapons were useless against the might of the new god. The beams carved through their ranks, incinerating them in a single moment. Abaddon growled in frustration, but he knew the truth: he was outmatched. Despite their initial arrogance, the Chaos forces were forced into retreat. Abaddon called for his sorcerers to weave dark spells to shield them, but even the warp itself seemed to recoil in the face of Darkseid's presence. His power was not of the warp. It was primal, cosmic, and absolute. The remaining forces of Chaos fled into the depths of the ruined city, leaving Darkseid standing alone amidst the destruction, his power growing ever stronger. As the dust settled, the Imperial forces regrouped, though their numbers were thinning. They watched as Darkseid, unchallenged, made his way toward the heart of the planet. His presence was like a black hole, draining the very essence of the battlefield. The Space Marines, though brave, knew they were losing the war before it had even begun. There was no plan, no strategy that could counter such overwhelming force. A lone figure appeared at the edge of the battlefield. It was a psyker, his robes flowing as he moved with purpose. His eyes glowed with psychic power. He had seen visions of this moment, a god from another universe, a harbinger of doom. The psyker knew what needed to be done. He gathered all his strength, summoning the purest of psychic blasts to strike down the dark invader. The air shimmered as he released the full force of his power. Darkseid turned, his eyes locking onto the psyker. The psychic energy struck him with immense force, and for a brief moment, it seemed as though the invader might falter. But then, a wicked grin curled across Darkseid's face. "You dare challenge me with weak sorcery?" he sneered. With a simple gesture, he unleashed a blast of Omega energy that tore the psyker's mind apart. The psychic force shattered, and the psyker collapsed, his body lifeless. It was then that Darkseid began to feel something new, something unfamiliar. The warp, the very fabric of this reality, began to tug at him. He had conquered many worlds, but this place, this chaotic universe, was different. The chaotic energies here were alive, twisting, seeking to corrupt even the strongest of beings. For the first time in his existence, Darkseid felt the creeping influence of something beyond his control. A ripple in space-time tore open before Darkseid, and from it emerged a being cloaked in power, a demon of the Chaos Gods. Its form was monstrous, its eyes filled with an ancient hatred. It lunged at Darkseid with terrifying speed, but the new god's Omega beams cut through the demon's form before it could even reach him. Yet, the demon's essence lingered, weaving its influence into the very world around them. The more Darkseid fought, the more the warp twisted his surroundings. The very air seemed to reject him. He could feel his power waning, and for the first time in his life, the new god faced something he couldn't entirely control. The forces of chaos, though defeated, were still active, and the planet's very foundation was buckling under the strain of its cursed nature. Darkseid, despite his immense power, was beginning to feel vulnerable. In the distance, the Imperial forces rallied. Led by Captain Aurelius, they made one final charge against the invading god. But even they knew their efforts were futile. They fought not for victory, but for a single, fleeting moment of honor before they were inevitably crushed. As they approached Darkseid, a massive explosion rocked the battlefield. The warp was alive with energy, and the land itself seemed to devour all who stood upon it. Darkseid, weakened by the clash of forces, found himself caught in a maelstrom of destructive power. The chaos energies, the warp itself, seemed to conspire against him. His body, once invulnerable, began to burn. His will remained unbroken, but the forces of the universe had combined against him in a way no one had foreseen. The Omega beams flickered and died as Darkseid fell to his knees. As the final moments of his life played out, Darkseid understood one simple truth: even a god could be undone by the madness of the universe. He had conquered worlds, but in this realm, he was a stranger. His body, consumed by the very forces he had sought to command, crumbled to dust. The chaos that once held no power over him had finally broken him. And so, Darkseid, the ruler of Apokolips, was lost to the abyss.